Okay, it is June 4th, 2018. We're going to take a quick look at our unit 109, which is on eBay right now. First, let's take a walk around and look at the body, and then we'll take a look at the rest. The body's in really good shape. There are a couple of defects. Got a bit of a scratch here on the passenger door, and there are a couple little imperceptible bumps on the lower part of the sliding door. I can't seem to find them right now. They're there, but the fact that I can't find them sort of proves that they're more or less imperceptible. The rear is in great shape. I don't really see any defects on the rear at all. And on this side, I don't remember if there's anything on this side or not. Oh yeah, there we go. Oh, this is what I thought was on the other side. There's a little dent here. I don't know if you can see that. So maybe there are no dents on the other side. I was thinking about the wrong side. Everything looks good here. Just kind of go along the roof. Everything's straight. There is a little bit of etching to the glass. There used to be vinyl signage on here, and you can see that where the vinyl signage is, it's smoother than where there wasn't signage. On the hood, we've got a few problems. There's a few places where it's been touched up, and then we've got a pretty good rock strike here, and then another one here. I don't think that's a rock strike. I think somebody just was a little aggressive when they were closing the hood. And there might be another bit of a subtle dent there. On the valance here, I think that's what you call this, there are a large number of rock strikes. I was going to touch them up, but it turned out my little canister of touch-up paint was dried solid. So I will include a fresh container of touch-up paint with this sale, and if I have time I'll touch up all these spots. And I did find another little dent here. So up there to the left of the antenna we had an ice strike. The roof was pushed in an inch or two, about a foot above the top of the windshield line, and that was well repaired. There's no real evidence of that injury anymore. So let's take a look at the tires, I guess. The front tires, let's see if I can find a wear indicator. Here's a wear indicator. I'd say that there's about the thickness of a quarter left on the front right tire. I imagine that's probably 5,000 miles or so. And then on the rear, here's a wear indicator. I don't know if that's a quarter or a dime. Not a lot of rubber left, but enough to get you down the road a ways. On this side, I guess that's about a quarter worth of thickness. And then this tire, oddly enough, has a lot of rubber left. Let's see if I can find a wear indicator. Yeah, holy cow, this has got like 2 nickels worth of tread left. So we must have had a flat here and replaced this tire at some point. Guess we need a little WD-40 on that torch. So the engine compartment contains an engine. This thing here is the stud for jumper cable, and it's not really secured properly. You can see there's supposed to be a flange on the right and the front and the back to hold it in place, but there's just the back flange. and that's not secure at all. Everything else is in pretty good shape in here. I'll pull out the maintenance records later, but we replaced the idler pulleys as a scheduled wear item so that they don't ever fail on us. So the idlers should be relatively fresh. And it's got a new cabin air filter. And I'm not really sure what else to say about the engine compartment. Let me go ahead and start the engine. So that sounds good. There's no skips in the beat there or anything like that. Nice regular firing of the cylinders and no funny valve noises or anything. I guess we'll crawl underneath. I wish I had brought my crawler with me for this little escapade. Okay, so towards the back, the differential's dry. The guts of the differential were replaced a while back. The axle was not, but the differential was. And it's got new carrier bearings. And as I mentioned in the listing, it has a new exhaust system, front to back. That's the second replacement exhaust system. It cost about $950 for the part. There isn't really any corrosion to speak of under here. I mean, on edges there's a little dusting or rust, but nothing significant anywhere. There's the transmission, and let me wiggle my way over there. The bottom of the transmission is dry, and you'll also notice that there's no droplets of anything hanging from the frame members. Everything under here is dry. This thing doesn't leave any puddles. So I'm not really sure what else to say about the underside. It's your basic Sprinter underside. Basic underside of a well-maintained Sprinter. Alright, so let's take a look under the back. There's your spare on a steel rim. New Sprinters have the spare mounted on a alloy rim, but for this model year it was the spare came on a steel rim. I think they changed that in about 2015. Well, let's take it for a drive. Oh wait, let's look at the interior first. So, interior's in really good shape. In the listing I mentioned what I thought was dirt on the dashboard. It turns out not to be dirt. There's actually a little discoloration there. I'm not sure what that's from. It might come out, but I put a little effort into it and did not succeed in getting it out. I don't really see any damage to the dashboard. Oh shoot, I forgot to put a fuse in to demonstrate the radio and CD player. We pull the fuses so our drivers can't use the radio, and I'm confident the radio works, but there's just no fuse in it. It's a radio and CD player. Now this has the optional overhead compartment thing. That is great if you want to install a radio or something like that. And I brought power up here. There's actually 2 circuits that of power that come up here. There are fuses in the oh, wait a second. I may have to backtrack on that. I may have pulled that. Okay, my bad. There is wiring, 2 circuits that goes up there, but it's not currently connected in the pedestal here. So there is not power up there, but there are wires. So if you want to run something, or if you want to connect something, you already got the wires. The seats are in great shape. There are a couple little discolorations to the black vinyl. Like here, there's a little spot that I couldn't get out. But there's really no damage to the seats at all. And this sale does include a bench seat that is not installed in the van. So what we've got here is 3, 3, and 4. And I have a bench seat that is a 2-position bench seat. And so the best place to put it, I think, is probably here in the second row, because that makes the last row more accessible and gives you a couple seats for larger people here. Another way to go is to put the 2-person bench in the back, which leaves you a gap on the end of the seat and gives you a path to the cargo area. So if you have reason to want to get at the cargo without having to stop and open the rear doors, putting the 2-person bench in the back is a great way to get that. The ceiling is in really good shape. I saw online that some Sprinters have roof leaks, and that there was a class action suit against Mercedes over roof leaks or something. But I've had this is my 11th Sprinter, and I'm currently on my 16th Sprinter. My newest Sprinter is my 16th Sprinter, and in 16 Sprinters I've never had a roof leak, so I don't know what that's all about. Obviously this has the high capacity air conditioning. It's a very expensive option. It works well. Here's a little bit of upholstery damage. Somebody put something on the seat here that maybe had a sharp edge or something and drove a whole trip with that on the seat. Alright, I'm not sure what else to say about the interior. Sliding door works properly. Opens it. The Daytona holds it. It doesn't slide shut on you while you're trying to load. And then it closes easily and correctly. You'll notice that the gap here is about the same width from bottom to top, which means that the door is properly situated in its opening. Doors that are askew don't usually work very well. Not sure what else to say. So maybe it's time to close it up and go for a drive. Alrighty. Okay, I guess what we'll do is head up on the interstate and go a little ways on the interstate and come back and do some local driving. So the temperature out right now is about, I'd guess, about 75 degrees, maybe 80. And for some reason this transmission gets a little weird on the 1-2 shift when it's hot out. And I wouldn't characterize today's weather as hot necessarily. When you're up in the 90s, it acts up pretty consistently, and in the 70s and in the 80s a little bit, and below the 70s not really at all. It's acting fine right now, but I'm not really stressing it. We'll have an opportunity to stress it in a second here. Okay, so I guess I'll put the, I wish I could start from a straight position. Okay, no problems at all there. That was pretty aggressive driving. If any of my employees drove like that, they'd be in trouble. So I'll try to get a better camera position on the instruments this time. Okay, here we go. Okay, there it hesitated a little bit, but that was pretty aggressive. I'm not sure that hesitation was anything unusual. I think pretty much any of the sprinters that I own would have done the same thing there. It's just not warm enough out to really reproduce the problem that I was observing at higher temperatures. So we're cruising at 875 right now. 2800 RPM, I guess, 2700 RPM. No unusual noises. Actually, there is an unusual noise. There is a little triangular piece of trim in front of the mirror that has come loose a little bit, and it needs to be reattached with some adhesive or something. I'm not sure if the sound is detectable. I can hear it, but that's a pretty minor problem. Alright, so starting at 60, pressing on the gas, downshift. This is full gas. Oh, right, this thing has the 74 mile per hour limitation. I'm pretty sure that that can be turned off by the dealer. Is it 74 or is it 75? Anyhow, that's a good thing if you don't want your employees driving like crazy. Alright, so now I'm going to brake hard as soon as we straighten out here. Okay, nobody behind me. Straight. And the sound you heard was my socket wrench coming from the back wall to the front of the vehicle. Anyhow, that was a pretty good stop. No squeaking of tires or anything like that, and it didn't pull to the left or to the right. It just stopped straight. Exactly what you want. So I'm going to turn on the air conditioner. It's getting a little warm in the sun here. So air conditioner on, blower on 2 notches, rear blower, and set the temp. Alright, so the blower is nice and quiet, no squealing bearings, no chatter, no funny stuff, just works, and it's blowing nice cold air. So I'll do another really aggressive takeoff and then we'll go into some residential streets and do some stop and go driving. Too bad the fuse is not in there. Okay, I'm going to pull around, stop on the shoulder, and then blast off from the shoulder so that I'm not in a turn when I take off. This is not ideal. I'm not going to give it full throttle because I don't want to abuse it. Here we go. Well, I guess that is full throttle. What the hell? Okay, that's 75 and we're about to run into a car, so I'm going to brake. So I'm going to do another hard stop here. Here we go. Okay, that time we got a little squeal, and that's because I stomped on it as hard as I could with both feet. Last time I didn't really do it quite that hard. Alright, got a little bit of a head rush from that. So anyhow, clearly the brakes work fine. Sprinter's got plenty of pickup. Transmission's basically working fine. But it's not perfect. When it gets hot out, it kind of stumbles on that 1-2 on the 1-2 shift. My arm is getting sore from holding the camera. So I'll just do a normal non-aggressive start for this launch. There's 2, 3, 4, and we're not going to get going fast enough for any more shifts. One thing about this van is it tends to ride, and Sprinters in general, is they tend to ride better with a bit of a load in them. Oops, no outlet. A bit of a load in them. They, the ride isn't awful when they're empty, but it's not fantastic either. Alright, this test drive is getting kind of boring, isn't it? I should have planned this a little better. Okay, I'm going to turn the AC back off so that you can hear the engine and the transmission. If you haven't owned a Sprinter before, you'll be very surprised how well they corner. They've got really good anti-sway bars, or whatever you call it. I can't really demonstrate that all that well, but it's amazing how well something so tall handles corners. When you think it should roll, it doesn't. It just maintains an upright orientation very well. Oh, now my socket has come off my socket wrench and it's rolling around on its own. Nice. I don't think there's much I can add, but I'm going to go ahead and keep the video rolling until I get back to the street where this Sprinter lives. Whoa! Sorry. I did not see the baby goose. He got away. The geese in this town are like large pigeons. They're just everywhere, and they land on roofs, and they walk around parking lots, and they block streets. They're just everywhere. People tend to give them the right of way though. Okay, there. We just had a little bit of a stumble on the shift. I don't know if you could hear it. Just a little bit of a hard shift. I'm not sure that that's all that that what I just experienced is all that unusual. Other Sprinters do this as well. But I guess the difference between this Sprinter and the other ones is that when it gets hot out, the tendency to do that becomes more pronounced, and the instances of it stumbling are maybe a little more severe. I was driving one of our younger Sprinters the other day, and I was just shocked when it did the same thing to me.